G'day everyone, it's Louise from Property Education Company. Thank you for checking in with us and listening. I am really excited today to introduce to you Mr. Ben Mitchell. Ben is from Your Key Advocacy, and Ben came to us through one of our brokers, Sam, as he had been referring business to her, which is rather cool. And because she's obviously fabulous, that would be right, Ben?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Sam is amazing. And thank you for having me on today, Louise. It's really great. And Samantha is a great broker. I actually came across her. I was working for a client and Samantha was his broker. I hadn't met Samantha before. And after the auction was done and we were successful, I reached out to Sam. We went and grabbed a coffee. And yeah, it's been great. I've referred quite a few clients her way now. So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it's fantastic.
And so we wanted to tell people, because we, for the first time ever, I have a list of first home buyers and first time investors in my pre-approved list, but cannot find or get properties. And we have been like, I was always had one or two and never any others. And so we thought, heck, why don't we introduce them to you, see if you can help them. We love the fact that Ben actually specialises in looking after first home buyers and first time investors. So that's right up our alley, because they're the people we love helping and teaching too. Yes. So first up, I'd like to ask you a bit about, how did you get into this type of work? I know you have a big history in leasing, and that's so important because we love hearing about that, so go.
Yeah, look, so my background's actually leasing and property management. So I was a business development manager at one of the bigger agencies. So bringing on investors onto our rent roll and guiding them through the process and leasing out their properties to the right tenant and for the best results and how to best market the property. What I really loved about that role is a lot of my clients I was dealing with were people who were upgrading. So it was actually their first home they were leaving. So there was a lot of emotional connection there, and also a lot of uncertainty. And it was a real almost holding their hand through the process and educating them on what they needed to do to get the best result, what types of tenants might have been better suited to their property or what they were after, and taking the uncertainty out and sort of jumping off the cliff with them. And that's the part of from that role, I've taken that into the buyer advocacy space.
Right.
I love dealing with first home buyers because a lot of the time it's the first time that they're doing it. It can be such a complex market to navigate, particularly when you don't know what you're doing and you've got all these fabulously friendly agents. But
yeah, maybe
they are working for the vendor. Their
well,
job
is to get
true. Yeah, no. So
and one of the things you said about you helped people turn their first home into an investment, but really now you're helping first home buyers buy a home that might be a good investment in the future. So that's worth noting, because there's things that tenants want that you might not want yourself. Or often I find parents will intervene and say, oh, we'll buy a house or a flat that we think will be a great investment in the future, and it's rubbish. They've got no idea, So, what sort of tips can you give people to look for in that first property that might make a better rental property in the future?
Yes. Oh, I've seen the rental properties that come up for rent every 12 months. The tenancies constantly turn over. And then they sit on the rent list for, not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, but 6 weeks, 7 weeks. And you've just got to, drop the rent down or maybe take a tenant that you're not too comfortable with. My general, when you're looking for a property that's going to be an investment property, look for something that you want to live in, because they're the types of properties that are going to have a point of difference that's going to attract more tenants applying for the property, better quality tenants that are applying, and also tenants that are probably going to stay longer term. So whenever I'm doing my analysis on a property, and whether it's for a first home buyer or an investor, I always have a rental component in there as well, with a rental appraisal, demographics, and all those sorts of things, because you never know when your circumstances are going to change.
Yes.
Last year, one of my clients, he moved into his property, and then after 6 months, he moved in with a partner, and he left the place empty for 6 months because he needed to be there for 12 months for the stamp duty. But then we rented it out.
Oh, great.
Great result. It was easy. It had a courtyard, so there were lots of people lining up. But when we were looking for a property, he didn't have that investment component in his mind, but you need to, because your circumstances will at some point change.
Yeah, totally right. Or if they haven't, maybe you need to.
Exactly.
That's another good reason for ringing us and getting a change on.
Yeah.
So tell us, how are you finding the market? We were just talking about an auction that got out of hand on the weekend.
Yes. Look,
Agents, you find, are still underquoting, maybe?
it depends on the type of property. This was a property. It was really hard to price in their defence. It was on a large parcel of land, so it came down to the land value. And I dare say that some developers may have purchased it and could put 3 townhouses on there. I mean, that completely blows away the normal sort of valuation that you would do on it if you're moving into occupy, because it's a very different calculations that you're doing there.
Yes.
But houses are still flying in this market.
Right.
Apartments and maybe even townhouses have perhaps slowed down a little bit. I don't know if they've come back in terms of value too much, but maybe vendors' expectations are still that the market is what it was last year and they're expecting the price to go a lot higher. So you're seeing that the agents are having to do a lot more work in terms of what they call vendor management and bringing their expectations to where the true value of the property is. And that's probably why you see the clearance rate for apartments being quite a lot lower. You're seeing a lot of apartments passing in at auction and then negotiating afterwards.
Okay.
Or what you're seeing is, because there might only be 1 or 2 buyers on the property this year instead of 6 or 7 last year, you're finding that agents will try and sell the property prior to auction, so as that the buyers aren't seeing that there's no competition there.
Okay.
They're asking for their best and final.
So what is a strategy can you suggest to people who are going to buy their first home? Should they be making an offer before auction? What would be, or would you wait?
Personally, I don't mind an auction because I'm not emotional about it. It's not my property that I'm bidding for. So I'm not going to go over my budget. I like the transparency of an auction because you know exactly who's there, you know how many other people are bidding, you know how deep their pockets are, and you're not going to spend 30,000 more than if you went and just put in your best and final offer without knowing what the other offers are. My recommendation would be just to wait for the auction so that you've got the transparency. As long as you've got somebody there to represent you, that's really important.
So you don't let it get away with you.
Exactly,
I've got to
exactly.
say, I agree with you. In the past, we've bid very successfully at auction many times because, and we didn't go to what our maximum would be. We only bid what was one higher than the person before.
Exactly.
You know? So you can actually, that's why I think from a buyer's point of view, people go, oh, it'll cost you so much more. I think actually can often be the opposite, that you're only bidding, 1,000 or, whatever above.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I don't like about the private negotiation prior to an auction is you could spend 30,000 more than the person below you and never know it and go, oh, I've got the property, but had it been auction, it would have been 30,000 less. Or on the flip side, you could miss out on it by $2,000 and never know. And you could have pulled that $2,000 out. So look, if an agent says, look, I've got an offer, it's in writing, now you've got 24 hours to get your best offer in, absolutely do it because it's happening.
Right.
But if they just say, oh, the vendor's looking at offers prior, why don't you put one in? My advice would be wait.
Okay.
It probably means they don't have any buyers.
Well, then maybe is it worth putting in a low offer and seeing what they say? And then saying, well, we're not going up, but maybe then we'll wait for auction, just in case.
Potentially. It depends on where the price guides are and things like that and what other properties have sold in the area. It's really important to look at what other properties have sold and also what's on the market, because that's the competition. That's what the other buyers are going to be looking at as well. So it just depends what the market's really doing, case by case.
Yep. And you want to be out there looking. That's the key thing, isn't it? You've got
to really
do your own work.
Look at as many properties you can, or get your buyer's agent to look at as many properties as they can for you.
Yes. Fantastic. Terrific. Any final quick tips for first home buyers?
Make sure you have got all your ducks in a row. Make sure you've got your
great point. Get your finance.
Make sure you've got your pre-approval. It's so important.
Yeah.
Because when you're out there and say it's not going to auction and you need to put in your strongest offer, an unconditional offer is strong. And if it's $5,000 difference, the fact that you don't have a clause in there on finance could be the difference to sway a vendor. That would be my advice. Make sure you've got all your ducks in a row.
Fabulous. And also, people note, if you're making an offer 3 days before an auction or 3 days after, it's the same condition as it is.
It's unconditional. You have bought it. So mortgage broker, conveyancers, building and pest inspectors. If you're looking at doing improvements as well, even getting an architect to do a quick review on the property. One of my clients,
you've helped people in the past do a quick reno, so then when they bought it, they didn't have to, you helped them get in and get it done. Yeah,
I really like those properties that are maybe not easy on the eye, but having worked in the property management space, to do a cosmetic renovation can be very cost effective, very quick, and make the world of difference.
Yeah, brilliant. Great advice. Oh, Ben, it's been lovely to meet you, and I look forward to you being able to help some of our clients. If anyone wants to contact you, what's your best contact details? And we will actually put them on the screen for you after.
Yeah, great. If you Google Your Key Advocacy, you'll come up with my website. I'm really active on Instagram and Facebook, so you'll see a lot of content coming through there. Or you can just give me a call, 0481 297 303.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Louise.
Good luck buying.
Yes. Thank
That's
you.
what we want to see. See you soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.